Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Avery, and today's video I'm going to be discussing what I spent in the month of October, what I earned, and I'm also going to give you a debt payoff update. I make videos all about personal finance and my budgeting journey here on YouTube, so if you're interested in that, you know what to do. You can like the video, you can subscribe, you can do all those things. Alright, let's go ahead and get into this. For the month of October, I honestly don't feel like I have a whole lot to say about it. I feel like it felt like a really long month. I ended up taking a week off of work for a staycation, so that was fine. Although when I came back from the staycation, I found out that one of my coworkers is leaving and he left at the end of October, which isn't ideal. Work has been really busy, and this is definitely not going to help matters as far as work goes, but it is what it is. I also had a 3 paycheck month, so that's nice, and we'll see that a little bit in my finances. I hung out with family a lot, and that kind of ties together with my staycation because we did a few different things for that. Me and Nathan, my fiance, took the week off, and that was probably the first time that we had taken a week off together. And I also attempted to simplify my finances for the month of October, so you might see, personally, I think it's a lot less categories than I used to have. And you can watch my last video that I posted if you want to hear more about how I decided to simplify my finances and what I did. But yes, that started in the month of October. I just didn't get a chance to post a video about it until now. All that to be said, let's go ahead and get into my income. So for my income, I have my notes right here. I got 3 paychecks in the month of October, so that came out to $5,180.90. I will say it's nice to have that always around the start, or always kind of around the holidays. It's either October or November or December, I feel like, when a third paycheck comes in. I get paid bi-weekly, so that's why I get 3 paychecks every now and then. And then I also got $250 from Nathan, and that goes towards our dog expenses. And then finally, I got $15.94 in high yield savings account interest. This definitely isn't as high as it used to be, and that's just because, one, I don't have as much money in there that I used to have sitting in that account, and then also they keep dropping the interest rate, which, it happens, but that's what's going on there, which brings my total income to $5,424.84. So definitely a lot higher than it typically is, but that's because I got a third paycheck. Starting with my rent and utilities, I spent $993.65 in this category. This is broken out in a few different ways. I put $547.50 towards rent itself, so I split my rent with my fiance Nathan, and then $110 towards parking, and then $245 towards utilities, and then finally $90.54 went towards internet. So for the purposes of calculating our rent and utilities, we add all that together, and then Nathan puts his half towards the rent itself, so our actual apartment is about $1,541. He will just go ahead and make a payment for that $994 amount, and then I cover the remaining amount of rent plus the utilities. And this helps in the parking. This helps us not have to constantly send money back and forth to each other. So that's how much on my basic living expenses. For groceries and household, I spent $571.92, and the biggest problem area for this month in my groceries expenses was I bought a lot of breakfast out. I kind of blame the fact that I'm in office full time on this because kind of the way this works is I try to get to work at 7 a.m. and when I wake up in the morning, I have to take levothyroxine, which is a thyroid medication for an underactive thyroid. But then I have to wait a certain amount of time before I can start eating and drinking things for the day. So basically what happens is I don't really make breakfast at home. I also don't always want breakfast at like 6:30 in the morning, and you don't necessarily need it, but typically what happens is around like 9 or 10 I want to get something to eat, and I end up just buying something out. Like either I get a bagel or I get a breakfast sandwich, and that really adds up, and I'm trying to stop that for the month of November. I honestly kind of blame this on just being in the office full time, because previously when I was hybrid slash remote in the early days of COVID, it was really a lot easier to just grab something from the kitchen and eat that when I was ready to eat. But now it's like, what do I do? Because the setup that we have in our office is a joke, honestly. I found out that they don't even offer a fridge to us. Someone just brought a fridge in, like a mini fridge, and that's what we deal with. And then they don't offer a microwave to us. Someone brought in a microwave. But the point is, like, things that I would maybe do, because I've thought about getting like frozen burritos. Can't really take them to work because there's a freezer. So it's a little ridiculous. I just need to get to a point where I'm just bringing something small in that I can eat around 9 or 10 o'clock just to kind of get the day started. And then when I have my lunch around 1, I can just eat whatever my lunch is. But yeah, it's kind of that. For groceries, this kind of combines all of my food expenses together. So it's actual groceries, dining out, coffee. I also mentioned that I took a week off of work, so we did do some more dining out during that time, and that was already pre-planned. So I knew my spending on that would be up regardless. So that's what happened with groceries and household. For the staycation itself, we really did not do a lot. We relaxed. We kind of traveled around Ohio a little bit. So I live in Ohio. I'm from Ohio. So we went to places like Dayton, Cincinnati. We visited family. We went to a fall festival. I also saw Allie and AJ in concert during that week, and that was really nice. They were in Ohio. So me and my sister went and saw them live, and that wasn't bad. This kind of segues into my fun and spending categories. So I did, like I mentioned, I have a staycation, but I ended up having higher expenses in fun and spending. One of the things that happened was, oh, sorry, let me tell you what I actually spent overall. I spent overall $655.97 in this category, so it is higher than I would typically want it to be. But again, having a week off of work kind of leads to that. And I also was thinking, well, that's kind of a vacation. So if we had traveled somewhere, we would have spent money regardless. So it's okay if we spent some money in like doing fun stuff. So of that $655, I ended up spending $135 and I got a Kings Island pass. My sister, oh yeah, so my sister and my nephew, we went to Kings Island during their haunted house stuff. I actually really liked it. I had not been to Kings Island in probably maybe 10 years, but we used to go a lot when I was a kid. But anyways, it did cost $135. However, this is now, I got a season pass, and from what it said, I can use it at any Kings Island affiliated park. So this includes, they recently merged with Six Flags, like them and Cedar Point. So this includes, like, I can go to the Six Flags parks as well. And honestly, I kind of was like, okay, let's just go ahead and make 2026 the year of doing like kind of like weekend trips like that, where we can just go to other amusement parks that are close by. So yes, that's kind of like I almost pre-planned my 2026 adventures, I guess. And then I ended up spending a combined $300 on concert tickets. I've discovered that I think my hobby is just like at going to music events, sporting events, things like that. I really enjoy music, and I went to a show at the beginning of the month with one of my friends, and she just had an extra ticket, and I at first didn't want to go, but honestly, I decided to go. And honestly, that might have been one of the best shows I'd ever gone to, and it was only like a 300-person venue. So I'm trying to get more into the local music scene because I'm just really enjoying that right now. And but let me add. So I ended up buying a bunch of concert tickets, and some of them, like I actually one of them's for Pittsburgh. That being said, after that bender of buying a bunch of tickets to future shows, I now have a running list on my phone to where if I have the money and it's closer to the concert date and there's still tickets available, then I will buy the ticket, because I can't keep buying like tickets like this far in advance. I just don't have that much money at this time. But I'm excited for those. That gives me something to look forward to. And then another thing that happened is in this category, I took out $120 in cash, which once it's in cash, I don't track it. But I'll tell you, just generally, this was for like fall events and activities that I just need cash for. So I took 120 out. I spent some of this money was on books and then on a couple donations that I made. So it's just like my spending, like my discretionary spending, which is new for me. I didn't normally have just this broad of a category, but honestly, I really like it a lot. And then finally, I spent $39 on 3 spin classes. So the spin studio that I used to have a membership to posted, they had some sale where it was like $13 drop-ins. Normally it's $27. I used to have a membership for $119, but I just wasn't using it enough to justify it. Something that happened this month, let me not to get on a tangent, but something that really helped and happened this month was Nathan and I decided to switch our cars. How it works is we kind of live in we live in the city. So in the city, you don't necessarily have parking right beside your apartment. It just depends on where you're at. So one of our parking spots is directly below our actual apartment complex, and then the other one is like a block or two away. I had been parking in the one further away because I walk to work, so I don't really need my car that much. But Nathan, he drives to work 3 times a week and works from home 2 times a week. So we just had his car in the garage more, but like in our direct garage more. But we decided to change it because Nathan's car has been having a lot of issues lately. So we're trying to limit how much driving he actually has to do outside of just going to and from work. So we've put my car in the main garage, which makes it easier for us to get out and about quicker, just because we don't have to like spend 10-15 minutes going to the other garage. I bring all of this up to say this has made me feel like I have a life again. I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like for a while I was just going straight to work, straight home, and then I just had no desire to go out and about because the time I would get off work, it would be rush hour, and then thinking about going to the garage not attached to our complex is such a like first world problem, and then going and doing something, it just wasn't worth it. But since we switched the cars and now I'm directly beneath our apartment unit, this allowed me, I feel like I fell off the rails. My point is, I ended up seeing a sale for a $13 drop-in for the old spin studio I used to go to, and I decided I actually just like fitness classes more. I like the group environment. I like having a time frame for it, so I'm like expected to show up. I like having consequences if I don't show up, to be honest. But I think what wasn't working with my unlimited membership was kind of what I was talking about in my last video. I do better with goals that are easy to reach and are defined. So when I had an unlimited pass, it really felt like I could just keep pushing off, making it worth it, if that makes sense. Versus if I just buy 3 classes every now and then, it's very clear I need to use those 3 classes within 14 days or I lose it forever. So basically, they had a sale on some classes. I bought 3 classes and I attended all 3 classes without canceling. I went to all of them, and hopefully they'll do a Black Friday sale because I think just buying class packs when they're on sale works a lot better for me. That was really long-winded, but yes, I spent $39 on spin classes again. In medical expenses, I spent $301.08. This consists of $102 on a medical supply order I needed to make. So about every 3 to 6 months, I have to do kind of a big stock up on medical supplies for some chronic conditions I deal with. But I also end up buying stuff here and there as I need it as well. But this time I needed to make a bigger purchase, so I spent $102 there. And then I also spent money on just my basic prescriptions, and then I had some just like medical bills that I'm either paying off or just one-offs that popped up. I ended up having to make payments towards those, so that's how I ended up with over $300 towards medical expenses. Moving on from that, I spent $168 on subscriptions. The biggest purchase from this was $86.44 went towards my MacBook Air. Has a, what is it, Apple Care, and that only is once a year. So some Apple Care, I guess, is monthly, and then some of it, they just do it once a year. So for the MacBook, it was a time for my yearly Apple Care subscription to be due. So that's what happened there. Otherwise, things that I spend subscriptions on or subscriptions I spend money on are things like Kindle Unlimited, Spotify, Canva Pro, and that's how I get up to $168 on subscriptions. For auto expenses, I spent $95.98. This consists of filling up my gas tank twice. So I have been doing a little more driving now that we're trying to make my car, what is it, just the car that we use whenever we're doing stuff. And then I also, the rest of this was on parking, so kind of a lot of money on parking. But again, we were just out and about, going to different towns and paying different parking rates. So it is what it is. And that's how I spent $95.98 on auto expenses. And then for our dog, Cece, she had a total of $139.81 in expenses. This is pretty simple. It's just $75 on a groom for her, and then $64.81. It was time to get more food for her. And when we order from Chewy, she has like a special prescription because she's allergic to just basic food items. And we also order her dental bones because she really likes dental bones. She has to have one a day, or there will be hell to pay for me. So that was $64.81. This brings me down to the investing and debt payoff section of my October expenses or October spending. And for this, I'm kind of going to do this a little bit differently. I ended up putting towards my Roth IRA $540. I'm trying to max that out, so $540 there. And then for my student loans, I'm trying to pay those off. I ended up putting $221.76 into or towards my student loans to pay them down. Then I thought it'd just be fun to mention how much money I put towards investing on a pre-tax basis. So I contribute 10% of my gross income into a pension account because I am a public servant. I'm a public worker. And what that comes out to, since it was a 3 paycheck month, was $718.02 went in here on a pre-tax basis. Currently, every dollar I put in there gets matched at 33%. We're not gonna get into like the whole thing about how the pension works, but what you need to know is like my actual cash value of the pension. So if I were to quit and leave today, how it works is every dollar I'm putting in there, it gets matched at 33%. So it's like for every dollar I put in, $1.33 is actually put into the account, and that's just for my employer's portion. So my point is, for $718 in pre-tax deductions towards my pension, that actually, when you account for my employer match, was $955 towards my pension account. So adding together that with my Roth IRA, that brings me to $1,495 to retirement and $221.76 towards my student loan. Just thought that'd be interesting to share. Which brings me to how much I actually in total spent for the month of October. This amount was $3,601.63. So adding everything together, but not my pre-tax pension contribution because it just not how I deal with my day-to-day budget, but I just wanted to share it. I ended up spending $3,601.63. If we subtract out my Roth IRA and my student loans, my total like real expenses, I guess, was $2,839.87. So that's pretty nice considering I had a 3 paycheck month, so kind of building up a bit of a buffer in my account again, which is nice because I've had a very, very expensive year. I also forgot to mention that I put $55 a paycheck pre-tax as well into my supplemental retirement account, 457B, and that is 100, what is it, 55, 110, 165 went into that account as well, so that's good as well. This brings me to probably the final part of this video, which is a student loan update. So since I last updated you in the month of August, I have been able to pay off one of my student loans. I was working on a loan that had a 5.05% interest rate. So with that $221 payment I made in the month of October, okay, that wiped out that loan. And then I've started to put $15 into my next target loan, which has a 4.53% interest rate. But that balance is over $3,600. So it's going to take me quite a bit longer at my current rate of about $230 a month towards my student loans to pay that off. But anyways, my balance when I last updated you was about $14,937, and since then my new balance should be around $13,952 when everything settles. So almost $1,000 has been paid off between August and now, which is kind of slow progress, but I've been trying to simplify my finances, and one of those ways is just being realistic with myself on how much I can actually put towards my savings and debt payoff goals. So that is where we're at for now. I have 5 loans remaining, and like I mentioned, my new target loan will be at an interest rate of 4.53%. I'm trying to pay them off from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate, in case you're wondering. But yes, that's how the month of October went for me. I want to know how it went for you, so tell me if you spent a lot of money, a little of money. Just tell me if you made any sort of progress on your financial goals for the month of October. Have you started preparing for the holidays? I haven't, but November is already in full swing, so I probably will be starting that soon. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you'd like it. It helps support my channel. If you want to see more personal finance and budgeting content like this, definitely subscribe and stick around. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one. Bye now.